all the roster changes that we did was, in my opinion, needed.
I think we've made the most of our roster changes because we've now got people who want to work together. And when you want to work with your team, then of course you can thrive with your team.
I think it's pretty surprising that a team with so many roster changes can get to third place. But I think it's mostly the motivation and dedication that can get you this far.
The change we made with SELFIE has had probably the most impact.
Obviously, SELFIE has ups and downs.
I kind of have some of these games like across the split that I think people know it. Game against SK, I kind of threw the game alone.
SELFIE himself will use his ultimate on him. He does go down in the end. They want to try and win this game right here, and you have to feel that they're going to with that numbers advantage. SK come in, take the Nexus, so close.
After the game, RalleZ went to me and said that I really don't mind you doing mechanical mistakes, but if you don't listen, I'm just getting really pissed.
It seems like you lost the game all by your own, but it wasn't. You can lose some games because of mistakes, and as long as you just keep improving, then you're gonna be fine, completely fine.
When SELFIE feels like he underperforms, he really goes downhill, and we just have to kind of give him that emotional support, and then he'll play really well and just carry us.
SELFIE continues to split push off. Can he find it? Oh, he's going to get no-one. There is the kill, and that's what happens.
I wasn't here during the beginning, but I think it still took a hard work to get to where we are now.
Throughout the whole split, I think the biggest thing I learned for me was just to trust your teammates.
The Super Hot crew really aren't afraid to try and pick up extra people to help us. So right now we've just got a new coach in the house, and we really needed that because when everyone's so emotional on our team, we're all so young, we need someone to kind of whip us back into shape when we trip up.
Obviously, it's possible to be a whole new team with 5 new players that people don't really know, that you can get into LCS and get into playoffs.
I think we've given more hope to like the underdog teams because we came here from nothing, we didn't have an organisation, so we kind of just made our own and we made our own path. Well, I think if we've already gone up 4 spots since last split, then we can do it again next split. And sure, if we don't make Worlds this time, I think we'll be pretty down, but that isn't going to stop us from trying it again next split.
Really fantastic to see how far the Super Hot crew have come as a team, but in this scenario, I have to go to the main theme of that video, which is the emotions of the Super Hot crew and SELFIE in particular. They've just lost and were pretty well dominated in game number 1. They have to get it together for the remainder of this game.
100% agree, and especially SELFIE had some big mistakes. He was the guy who face-checked a Baron, as casted in, no ward, just ran in, died, ended up giving Baron to Rocket, and I just saw the coach, Mithy now, who's the coach for Super Hot crew, talk with him just before here we showed the video and try and cheer him up a little bit because, as Mimer said in the video, as long as we can keep him happy, he can perform really well and he can also carry games. Now he had a bad game, they need to make sure he's feeling confident going into next game.
Well, we'll see, because we are ready to head into game 2 of this quarterfinal series. ROC now leads with 1 win, but anything, of course, can still happen. It is a best of 5, of course. ROC still need 2 wins to tie this one up and move to the semi-final. I want to start off with talking about that man closest to the camera right now, Xaxus. Top lane, Ahlström, most kills on the team, and a 91% kill participation in game 1.
He was everywhere in this game here, and Super Hot crew clearly had no idea how to play against this Ahlström. And just the fact Rocket got the lane swap, it was so important for them. Nif said it as well. Even the bot lane would have been hard for Rocket to win in a standard 2v2. So the lane swap was so important. It made the cow work. I wonder if Super Hot crew wants to ban it now or leave it open once again and try and force standard lanes and maybe try and see what Xaxus can do one-on-one with the cow.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't know how to play with it in game number 1, the 10, 15-minute break between games is probably not going to teach you enough, however much you talk about it, to play against it again.
That's a good point.
Could be a safe ban here, or a ban which may leave some other things open. For instance, Lee Sin, we talked about that ban in game number 1. The fact that, yes, it's Jankos' most played jungler, but not Jankos' most impressive jungler, which is Elise, which got through.
Yeah, and it worked so well because he used it early game, apply pressure, get towers, get objectives, and I do expect some new bans from Super Hot crew here. Fizz would probably still be banned against Overpow because he's been so good on the champion. But let's see what actually decides if Ahlström will be banned.
Well, TF and Mundo banned out here by ROC. No change there. kaSing taken away. We always have to factor that one in onto the red side. Funnily enough, didn't happen in the last game, and the Super Hot Crew were, you may argue, forced to first pick that kaSing.
Yeah, I believe they were. I mean, clearly wasn't a plan, because they had the kaSing, waited like 40 seconds, talking back and forth. We end up locking it in, and all of a sudden it just seemed like nothing worked here, and oh. New jungle ban.
Yeah, and I totally agree with it as well.
Of course.
Swap the Lee Sin out, ban out the Elise. Definitely Jankos' most impactful jungler. Orianna taken away on the other side, of course, played by Overpow in that last game. So keeping the focus in there. The question now is, do you ban the cow? Do you ban the likes of Yasuo? Maokai still open here. What are the Super Hot Crew gonna be going for? Zilean, of course, was the Super Hot Crew ban in game number 1, and it will be Zilean this time.
Okay, so Ahlström open, Maokai open as well, which should be the first pick for Rocket here, because Maokai is so strong at the moment. If people wonder where's Gragas, well, kinda got changed a little bit, lost some of his wave clear, less damage from his Q on minions, and his W got changed as well, so he's not as strong anymore, and therefore Maokai is like the #1 top laner at the moment. So easy first pick for Rocket here. No Ahlström top lane, unless of course it's gonna be Maokai support or jungle. Don't expect it to be. And let's see what Super Hot Crew wants to respond with.
So that's the interesting thing as well. You take Elise, are they now forced to be picking up Lee Sin for Impaler, with the fact that, I mean, if he was a high enough priority before, then surely a priority now. However, if you look down the 3 most played champions, or even the 4 most played champions coming out from Impaler, Lee Sin does not feature. Rengar, however, does. But we have to say it, super weak. We weren't impressed with the Rengar that we saw out of Impaler.
So Rocket actually said in Super Week, it was Jankos, who said that Impaler is the best jungle Rengar in Europe. Now again, the competition is probably not too fierce, seeing as most of our Rengar players, or most of our Rengar games, don't always end too well. But still, they respect his Rengar. It's been locked in now. It's what I expected to see from Super Hot Crew in game 1. Because now you already have some pick potential. You have some potential to split up Rocket, stop them from moving around as a group here, and try and catch him out of position and surprise them, which is what Rengar can do. If they're looking like a Twitch from MrRalleZ, they have double stealth, double pick potential already, and then you have Morgana support with the binding. So this is more what I expected from Super Hot Crew against Rocket. And look at Rocket's side. Full teamfight focus once again.
Going to take Cogmore for Celaver once again, and also picking up Rise here for Overpow. Champion that's obviously going to take a while to get going, as it will the AD carry as well. One good thing, I suppose, when you see Rengar jump in towards you, instant Rune Prism, stop him from diving right on top of you. No skill shot needed there to rely on to stop that gank from happening. However, on the other side, SELFIE. Ahri has been a champion, which we actually saw in that last video there, the 100-0 on Candy Panda. That game for him on Ahri was incredibly, incredibly good. Kayle also maybe one to consider. That was banned out in game number 1.
Yeah, and Kayle, AP ratio on an E has gone slightly up, so every single hit does a bit more damage. And also her ulti, early game, has, I believe it's 20 seconds less cooldown the first rank, then 10 seconds less. So Kayle at the moment, oh sorry, it's the other way around actually. Late game you have 20 seconds less cooldown on the ulti here, so Kayle coming back in favor, ban in first game as you just said, locked in here. I expect it to be Mimer top lane, and I really like the setup when you have Kayle and Twitch together. Because yeah, Twitch is immobile, but as long as he gets his damage off, he will melt people, especially in the mid-late game points. And when you have a Kayle ulti and a Black Shield to protect him, opens up for MrRalleZ to teamfight and even go towards towers and actually take them down, which is normally the issue for Twitch, where he can't really hit a tower because then it's too easy for the other team to engage onto him. Well, Black Shield and Kayle ulti, he's gonna say nope.
What are Rocket then gonna finish off with here? Jungler and support picks. Thresh, a champion which, honestly, VandeR, if we look back to the spring split especially, he was so impressive with on that Thresh. He's kind of fallen down a little bit for him this year, both in terms of picks, but maybe more importantly in terms of KDA and kill participation. Much lower than his other top 5 played champions overall.
Actually not been his best champion though for a while. It was the champion we kind of got used to seeing him play.
Yeah.
Where he would always land some good hooks, set up kills for Rocket. But let's see what he can do with it. Again, full teamfight focus. You have Thresh now to protect Celaver in these team fights. Even Mączka can actually take a position to peel. Same goes for Rise, of course. And you have Java then to start the fight with Xaxus. So a lot of engage potential, some good peel as well for Celaver, and just late game, you have an absolutely insane team fight. Get into late game, however, it's going to be harder for Rocket this game compared to the last one. Rise needs more time to scale up, and Mączka in the top lane as well. He needs these tanky items, these Rod of Ages, 1 or 2 tanky items, and then he becomes unkillable.
Final pick though for the Super Hot crew here will be Zed, and that is another champion. I'd say if you look at the kaSing from last time around, even the Ari that SELFIE did so well with, a champion that you can really go huge on in some of these games, but also a champion which you can quite quickly fall flat with.
Yeah, everything on the lineup of Super Hot crew is just focused on not necessarily team fighting, but just picking off people before objectives. Like you have Twitch, great at picking off people. Zed, of course, wants to split with Rengar joining with SELFIE. It is going to be so scary for whatever person Rocket sends to stop SELFIE in this one-on-one, because they can potentially pop out 2 champions from stealth and just instantly kill you. So Super Hot crew here definitely not looking for team fights. They do have the kill ulti on Twitch for a potential team fight, but otherwise they're just looking to split push, pick off people, then get objectives.
And we heard in that last video the Super Hot crew say, right now our teamwork, our synergy is not at the ideal level. Do you think it's easier to pull off a pick comp than it is to have something that's very heavily team fight based?
So yes and no. So team fight based comps, even if you don't have a lot of synergy, can work really well because the champions are so strong in team fights, and you just have like one job in your mind. Okay, I'm the support, I protect my AD carry. That's my job pretty much. But on the other side, when you have like this pick comp here, it becomes a bit solo queue-ish in the case that you're going to have a lot of one-on-one, a lot of 2v2, which is what players are very good at, especially Super Hot crew, because they have so many mechanically skilled players.
Yeah.
So in that case, it can work. But you need a lot of communication, because if you go at the wrong time to kill a person, it might end up costing you Baron or a tower or whatever.
Well, let's find out, shall we, how this one goes. We're going to get into game number 2. ROC here with a 1-0 lead now, moving over onto the blue side. A win here would put them onto game point. And just one win then away from the semi-finals against Fnatic, who will be watching this game without a doubt, because they're going to have to prepare for this one moving into next week at Gamescom. Well, level 1, we saw in the last game a simple exchange of buffs. We'll see if anything like that happens this time around.
And more importantly, we saw a lane swap, which meant Rocket were in a very, very good position. Now, this time around, Xaxus up in his top lane might be in trouble against Mimer in a one-on-one. Sure, there's a lot of sustain on a Mączka, but he should never be able to kill Mimer, and he will, or the lane will be pushed down to his tower, opening up for Mimer now to get some damage on tower, and potentially come and dive with Impaler onto this Mączka here before he gets some tanky items. Remember, we normally see Rod of Ages as the first item on a Mączka, so no instant combat stats or defensive stats in that case. He does, of course, have 20% damage reduction on his ult, so pretty tanky already from level 6.
Not quite the 70% of the cow that he brought into game number 1, but could well be enough here. We'll see how this one goes. ROC, of course, traditionally ramp up pretty slowly. Have possibly some trouble clearing out games, but that last one, I have to say, was pretty efficiently done. Although they had that 10k gold lead, they had a good Baron buff on where they were pushing, and they pretty much played it perfectly.
So Super Hot actually looking to lane swap, but Rocket sending their dual lane as well to this top side instantly, so they expect the lane swap from Super Hot here, and oh, kaSing might face check 4 people.
Oh, they've seen that ward go down. There is kaSing walking in. Oh, they've missed him though. Jankos gonna go around, gets the flag in at least. Forcing the flash from one and from the other. It was MrRalleZ that flashed first, kaSing flashing afterwards. ROC are gonna successfully invade here onto that red buff. However, we do see Impaler's already on his blue. In fact, has already done his blue buff, and he's gonna be moving.
And Marco needs to go to this bottom lane. Very, very fast. Oh, look here. Super Hot crew. They wanted to lane swap with Twitch and Morgana because they knew they were going to have a hard time against the dual lane from Rocket. So they send him top lane. As soon as they spot Celaver and VandeR in this top side, they recall, even Mimer from the spot lane, recall, or move away from the lane, because they want to have this lane swap. They want to make sure MrRalleZ on Twitch can pick up the farm he needs early on. So a forced lane swap here by Super Hot crew. Well done by Rocket first at actually predicting it, counter it by sending their dual lane up to the top side. And now we have at least for now, Super Crew with both Mimer and Impaler in the jungle, and Xaxus just picked up a little bit of farm. Will mean their lane is going to push towards Super Hot Crew, and MrRalleZ can now freeze it if he wants to.
I think the Super Hot Crew can count themselves lucky there from level 1. Okay, lucky you might not call it when you lose 2 flashes directly, but it could have been a lot worse if they'd have, well, basically spotted them earlier than they did. It was a bit of chaos in there. A SELFIE, you're going to take a big blast already. In fact, Ignite is down. Here comes Impaler from the side, though, for the counter. Mimer's there as well. And Overpow, you're not getting away from this one. First blood is given up, and it's Mimer that takes it. They're moving straight to Dragon.
So Mimer and Impaler went to the red buff of Rocket to take it, took the Wraith camp, and they actually looked at the Dragon, but realized MrRalleZ was freezing the bot lane, so it wasn't a good time to start it. And instead, with the fight in mid lane, easier than to come in, pick up the first blood. Now they get Dragon as well, unless Rocket can come down in time here. VandeR and Jankos on the way.
On the way in there, but the Dragon already low. It's going to be smited away. There's the hook, though, onto kaSing. There's no follow-up from Rocket, though, with only Jankos there on the top side. Overpow already dead. And that will be the dream start, really, here for the Super Hot Crew. Yes, they got those flashes burnt, but they turned that into a first blood for the Kale with the assist going on the jungler and the mid laner, and then they get the Dragon. Almost instant 1,200 gold lead.
Only issue is the fact that MrRalleZ lost a lot of farm in the bottom lane because he had to move to the Dragon, take it down, while he had so many minions pushing toward his tower. So he actually lost quite a few waves here. Just compare the CS with Celaver early on. So only downside from Super Hot Crew, the fact they lost a lot of farm on the AD carry, which is the reason they actually lane swap, to make sure he gets the farm.
Well, we actually see support headed towards top lane with Mimer. In fact, Impaler is even moving on that side, so this could be a case of not only helping out Mimer to get some farm, but try and stop Celaver from making this lead too ridiculous. Currently 33 to 15 in favor of Celaver on Cogmore. And there is Mimer just returning into his lane. He is obviously a tad bit behind that of Maokai, but certainly, well, it's 1 CS, not exactly anything to write home about. Impaler and kaSing now have moved around. They've not actually been spotted, and now VandeR might be in trouble. He does have a flash available. Will get slowed from the bowler. There's the dive in,
flashes.
And the second one missing. Actually binding, landing onto Celaver, but he was already way underneath his turret. So nice little try by the Super Hot Crew. At least they forced a flash out of the support.
Yeah, now they're just pushing down the wave, break the freeze, so Celaver can just sit and deny a lot of farm from Mimer. And last game, Super Crew left Mimer alone in a 1v2 just to do whatever he could. And he fell very far behind in farm compared to Xaxus on Ahlström. Now they've sent up both kaSing and Impaler to help him push down the wave, stop the freeze from Celaver, reset the whole wave. Not a lot of farm picked up from Mimer yet, but at least opens up for him to get more now, especially because kaSing actually stays in the lane to help him. But again, last game, he stayed with MrRalleZ for no reason to 2v0 in the bottom lane.
MrRalleZ, though, is actually now moving up towards this top lane. Is that a case of we feel stronger in this 2 versus 2? We can maybe bully them out of things. We'll find out, because Mimer is still waiting. Impaler is there, however, spotted by a ward, but they still need to be really careful about this one. Jarvan is going to work his way towards the top lane, but there's 3, 4 of them there. And there we go. Impaler going to jump out. Jankos from the side. Maybe in trouble here because that flash is down from VandeR from the previous gank, and he's just going to have to go down. It's MrRalleZ that gets the kill in the end.
And this is a play I've seen in OGN a few times. The Samsung teams that like to do it. Samsung Blue, when they actually do play Twitch. Not sure if Samsung Blue, Samsung White, but one of their Samsung teams, when they do play Twitch, early on, level 4, level 5, like to just push out the lane, recall, and go to the top side or the bottom side of the map if they are on the top side, and just do this surprise AD carry, joins in for 4 versus 3 or 4 versus 2 gank, get a kill, get some farm, and just push it down now. So you also saw Super Hot Crew actually just make sure MrRalleZ picked up the kill. Everyone stopped hitting VandeR, just waiting for him to last hit him, and it paid off the roam.
Still sits 20 CS behind that kill, obviously, though, is going to bring him, in terms of gold, actually about 100 ahead. So despite his little deficit on the farm, we can see there's a 1,700 gold for Celaver to be spending when he goes home. There's 1,200 on Overpow as well after his first death, but he's already got that tier, so he's quite happy to sit there and keep that one stacking up, knowing that when he goes back, probably that catalyst to come in next. Meanwhile, the 1v1 also emerging now in the bottom lane. It's still Xaxus that's got the lead on that one. However, Stinger has come out from Mimer after getting that kill earlier on with the assist now as well.
Jankos will get his red buff. This time around, no ward from Subaru to actually get a timer, never mind. There was a ward on him.
Right on top of him.
Didn't actually see it. Right on top of him, there's a ward. So they got the timer. Impaler, however, has gone back to his own jungle to farm. He's also behind in farm, so both Impaler and MrRalleZ at the moment. Even Mimer actually. Only lane keeping up his mid lane for Subaru. So while they had the lane swap, got the dragon, got a kill as well for MrRalleZ. In that case, it paid off for Subaru, but falling very far behind in farm.
You see Catalyst Wars picked up. Overpow decided it was time to push that lane out and go home for the farm. I think he lost about maybe 1.5 waves to the turret. SELFIE pushing that one right back out, and he's going to go himself back home to base, obviously working up towards that Blade of the Ruin King as his first item, as we will be seeing from MrRalleZ as well by the looks of it.
Again, Subaru is all about just picking off people. He has a Blade, of course, on Twitch. No real surprise. An Impaler here. Last time we actually saw him play Rengar, or the few times we have seen him play Rengar in the EU LCS, he loves to build a lot of damage. And again, doesn't really focus on team fights. Just waiting for Rocket or whatever team he's playing against to be out of position, then he jumps as this like full damage Rengar and just try and instantly kill you. They get the early cooldown reduction, which we normally see on Rengar as well, simply because more ganks, your team is happy, you get a few kills and you start rolling. Cooldown reduction is so important for Rengar.
There's that Madness Razor. We also can't forget already stacking up here a SELFIE. Not really in too much danger there. Overpow ruining prisoning him up pretty early on. Meant that actually that had worn off by the time Jankos tried to get in. But look at this, Impaler at level 6 will dive straight onto Celaver, binding length as well. There's the safety of the Lantern back towards his tower. He survives for now, might be though forced back as overpowered. Jankos once again gonna try and have a go at SELFIE. There's a Rune Prison, Cataclysm comes in, Deathmark turned around though. He's gonna try and finish him off, and SELFIE does get the kill. Will go down in the end, 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, 1v2 here. Kill pick up. Xaxus going on for Mimer in his bottom lane. A lot of damage.
A lot of damage coming out with just that Catalyst and the single Doran's ring. Mimer, of course, level 7, so intervention is there for him if he really gets in trouble. What I'm most interested about now is Dragon. Super Hot Crew, of course, got the first blood in the mid lane and then went straight to that Dragon opportunistically after that kill. Are they going to be trusting themselves here now to go for it again?
Well, notice how both teams take the dual lane from the top side, recall, and run straight towards this bottom side here, because if you had kept your AD carry in the top lane, it would have been an easy Dragon for the other team, because of teleport advantage, and AD carry is pretty much stuck. So both teams sending the dual lane down towards this Dragon. Let's see, Mimer recalling, does have teleport. Xaxus staying. Just want to play out some wars. Rocket, the first ones to actually get some control around the river.
Yeah, pink wards taken away there. Saplings drop down as well. So Rocket, for now at least, have positional advantage. SELFIE is going to be scanning out those wards though over the backside. And we'll see what Rocket want to do here. Was it just a case of defending the Dragon take from the Super Hot Crew, or are they going to trust themselves to go all the way and actually start that Dragon off? It actually looks like they will do. A scan will reveal that there's no wards down there, no vision currently for the Super Hot Crew, and it looks like they're giving this one up.
Remember, Rocket wants to team fight, where Super Hot Crew rather pick off people. And when all 5 members from Rocket are already at the Dragon, they start clearing the wards. There's no proper way for Super Hot Crew to actually engage or catch someone from Rocket out of position. They were wisely enough to say, you know what, you get the Dragon, we go back to our lanes, and now we need Impaler to keep looking for ganks. He needs to keep picking up kills, because MrRalleZ is still very, very far behind, and he's also one of the people who's supposed to run around and one-on-one people.
That's very, very true. 68 to 104 CS there between the AD carries. See, 3,800 gold. Obviously, that first Dragon and need 3 kills helping out there somewhat for the Super Hot Crew. But worrying facts means that Celaver's going to be getting pretty strong here shortly. Got himself Phage, and he's sat on almost 1,000 gold towards the Sheen or that Zeal, whichever it depends. He decides to go for next. Meanwhile, kaSing is maybe going to join in the mid lane. Impaler has already stealthed into this one, but look at Overpow. Backing away already. He's not got a flash available. And this is how we kind of expect Overpow to play things anyway in this mid lane, especially when he doesn't have a flash, is sit back, play it very, very safely.
Yeah, and we saw the damage SELFIE could do to him earlier when we had the gank from Jankos, where he actually turned it around and traded 1-for-1, even though it's 2 members from Rocket jumping him. So Overpow wisely enough, also against the Rengar. Played it very safe. He's going to pick up the farm. Is slightly behind, and also gave up the 1 kill. So not a good start for him on Rise. And his Rod of Ages, because he just picked up a Glacial Shroud here, is going to be very delayed. Even picked up more HP. So going to be delayed Rod of Ages here from Overpow.
See how that fares for him, really. I mean, he's up against SELFIE, who's now got Brutalizer in after picking up that Cutlass as his first item. Also got himself a blue buff now, so can very well bully Overpow in this mid lane. Yep. Bit of health never gonna hurt.
And exactly why he actually delays the Rod of Ages. He wants like instant combat stats against SELFIE. He wants the armor, wants more HP. So smart enough choice, even though his power spike will be delayed. Simply to say, if I go Rod of Ages now, it's too easy for SELFIE to actually jump me and kill me. I'm in his top lane here. Mimer fell behind after the lane swap, except for the fact he picked up a dragon, but farm-wise he fell behind. He's also a level behind because Xaxus has just been sitting in lane, farming throughout the entire lane swap. And is looking very good on Mączka.
I thought he was going to try and get down to bottom, but the duo of Roccat had already actually backed away and pushed that wave right up. They're going to take golems here. See if they actually decide just to recall straight off. I was talking about Celaver earlier and how much gold he was sat on. Now sat on 1,700 gold, so obviously delaying as long as he feels he can really do that until he goes home and picks up as much as he can towards that Trinity Force, or maybe even buy it outright if he waits just that little bit longer. In fact, they're pressuring that bottom tower, and that's an interesting move there. Coming out of the lane, taking golems, and then going back in gives them the tower.
And notice what Subaku is doing. The same move as before. The tower was so low, it was going to be pushed in. We talked about how it's not a good lane for MrRalleZ and kaSing to stay in. It's very hard to farm against Celaver and VandeR. So they instead, once again, send MrRalleZ to this top lane to surprise and turn suddenly into a 4v2 if Jankos is caught out of position here.
Oh, there goes the slide through from Jankos. They're going to go straight towards Mimer. He uses an early intervention. They turn it around. Jankos is going to go down. Xaxus will fall as well. And again, that same move that we saw for the first kills in that top lane will happen all over again. Xaxus and Jankos go down. It leaves Mimer on 2-0-2. We've seen time and time again how scary it is. Here's the start of that one again. Notice MrRalleZ stealthed up. Surprise.
That's the thing, man. If you don't expect it, you're like, okay, we're setting up for this gank. We want to force a flash ulti from Mimer. All of a sudden, even a support is here. 4 members, tower, kill for MrRalleZ, kill for Mimer. It is perfect for them. Yes, they lost the bottom tower. It was gone anyway because Celaver and VandeR kept pushing it down, could just always get to the tower and hit it a few times. So you make the best out of a bad situation by sending MrRalleZ top lane twice now, picking up kills, get a tower here. Very nice move by Subaku. And we keep talking about how Rocket as a team don't like unexpected things. They want to, you know, play by the book, low risk, high reward, take their time. When it Twitch twice, stealth to the top lane, completely random. That is definitely not what Rocket expected, and it's been working for Subaku.
When you notice that lane is completely empty, when it's happened once, you may think, okay, could possibly happen, but would they try that twice in a row? They now know the answer to that, and I think once that top lane's empty, that we won't be seeing Jankos waiting right in the end of the brush there for that surprise once again. If you look at the CS between those top laners, Mimer has brought himself into a little lead. Mid lane now has a lead as well with SELFIE. Bottom lane, though, still sits behind, although that 2-0-1, amongst other things, have made sure that MrRalleZ is only a 200-300 gold actually behind in the end. Dragon's coming up though in 30 seconds, so this is the important one. First one called opportunistic pickup for the Super Hot crew. Roccat though had full control of the second one, just because of the fact they had all 5 men there. Super Hot crew don't want to do that big team fight.
Well, now at least they got a goal lead, so they might be more confident. They're going for SELFIE.
Going for SELFIE. He actually goes back onto his Shadow. Deathmark coming in there on towards Overpow. He flashes away. The Deathmark, not enough damage to actually kill him off with that Catalyst, maybe more importantly with that Glacial Shroud in there as well. And Rocket having that ultimate down, it's going to make Celaver feel a lot more comfortable. They go down towards the Dragon, Pickwall's already there, should be able to take one.
Easy again. So very good gang by Jankos here, forced the ulti and the flash from SELFIE. Picks up the Dragon once again. Subaru don't want to deal with any kind of team fight at this point, especially not without the ulti from SELFIE. And just going back to the same deal. They pick up the kills in between the Dragons.
Speaking of in between things, in between the towers, maybe the problem for Overpow is going to flash behind it. Impaler is going to be tanking that one up. A lot of damage coming back. Overpow goes down. Impaler survives for now, but there's a flash in. Xaxus going to get one back. Can they close in? No, they can't. There's no one there for Rocket. Xaxus actually getting hit by the binding there as well. And again, we see the kill come in. Good little reaction by Rocket to at least be a 1 versus 1 and keep the tower alive. Yeah, keep the tower alive. A lot of farm lost from Overpow. But we just see the same tactic for Subaru. Okay, you get Dragon. We're not done yet. We're just gonna keep looking for picks here. Even under your own tower, we will dive you at this point to constantly get picks here. They will lose this mid tower. Only MrRalleZ there to try and wave clear, and Twitch is not exactly the guy who just destroys the wave. And Jankos could put that flag down and the extra attack speed on them all. Easily finish off. Trinity Force for Celaver was picked up on his last trip home, so able to get that one in there. Blade of the Ruin King. Brutalize the Hex Drinker for Zed though. SELFIE's getting to that point where you just don't want to meet him in a 1 versus 1 or maybe even a 2 versus 1 scenario as we saw earlier.
And it's simply what Subaru is going to keep doing for the entire game. SELFIE split pushing. You can have Mimer in the other lane and just push on all the lanes. MrRalleZ is so good, or Twitch is so good at staying in the mid lane, kill the wave, and then once there's no wards to spot him, he can then sneak to the top lane, to the bottom lane, and instantly make a 2v1, maybe even 2v2 in favor of Subaru because they have so much burst now coming in. And Impaler can do the same. As long as Subaru have good wards to actually see or make sure that Rocket is not standing like 4 members and waiting for them, and as long as they can control the waves, especially in the mid lane, so they don't suddenly roam to top lane like 4 members and Rocket just says, okay, we're just going to push mid lane, take towers, then they should be able to keep moving around the lanes, pick up the kills they want. But it does require them to control the lanes properly, and if they do, the trick about split pushing, and a lot of experience on playing with Björkson in the past, who used to play Zed a lot, and we always did this 1-4 split push, is if he split pushes at the wrong time, while we're not in a position, the rest of the team, to push down the mid lane and apply pressure, then it's too easy for the other team to send 2-3 members to you, kill you, and not lose anything because the 4 members sitting in mid lane or 3 members in mid lane are not in a position to take a tower or dragon, and therefore you lose a lot of pressure, you give a kill, and that's the way a split pushing comp can always lose. Now, VandeR, you might be in trouble, mate.
Yeah, I think so as well. MrRalleZ and Impaler coming in. Binding doesn't quite land. That's a good jump around, but Impaler is able to pick up a kill. Celaver, though, doing good damage. And the Super Hot Crew being ripped to pieces there by Kog'Maw. MrRalleZ did manage to escape it. Had to use Flash, had to use Summon a Heal, and it's Baron o'clock for Rocket.
So we just talked about Super Crew needing a lot of wards to make sure there's not like 4 or 5 members from Rocket just waiting for this gank to happen. And this time around, Celaver and Jankos were just standing there waiting. Instant teleport from Xaxus, and they turned around. 2 kills, go straight for Baron. Way too aggressive by Subaru. Had no idea how many members from Rocket were waiting. And you lost Baron.
No intervention used there by Mimer. I didn't actually see how much mana he had. I'm assuming,
cost no mana,
he
though.
Probably didn't have, well, he cost no mana, of course. What am I even thinking? Why not even get it down there? You're stuck inside Cataclysm. You see 2 men having to flash away. Certainly not the ideal scenario, especially since so close to Baron, it makes it so easy for Rocket to turn, especially with the likes of a Kog'Maw in the team to just rip straight through that Baron. Nice pickup for Rocket here. SELFIE has gone into split push mode, but they need to be careful on that top side of the map. There's 3 of them there against the 2 from Super Hot Crew, including MrRalleZ, who's at less than half HP. There's a flag down once again. Will stop Jarvan actually jumping in there. Gives him an escape point, though. More than half of the HP taken away from that turret.
And Impaler went down to this bottom lane instead of going up top to try to defend at the second tower because he wanted to make it 2v1 with SELFIE here. But Xaxus, he just walked up, looked at the lane, said, you know what, it's probably a bit too scary, and walked back to his own tower, and nothing happened in his bottom lane. And now Rocket might look to... never mind. He just smacked the goal. And still, Rocket stayed. Wanted to try and see if they can get a pick on Mimer. Didn't work. Still, won a team fight, got the Baron, got another tower.
So let's have a look then. After that Baron, after that top tower there, we see the gold swinging right over in ROC's favour. 1,400 there or thereabouts, 23 minutes into the match. And we see that brings quite a bit of tankiness in the direction of ROC. We're going to be seeing the Randuin's Omen is the name of it. It's all right. Randuin's Omen's only been in the game for a few years now, so I'm not sure why I constantly forget that one. But Randuin's Omen coming in either way for Jankos. See that Warden's Mail, Glacial Shroud up there for Xaxus, Frozen Heart done for Rise. So a lot of tankiness. SELFIE's going to have a bit of trouble breaking through all of that.
It's really another reason why Subaru don't want a straight-up team fight, because both Mimer and MrRalleZ need to get as many auto attacks off as possible.
Yeah.
And there's going to be double Frozen Heart on the side of Rocket. Of course, they don't stack together, but just the fact there will always be one guy with a Frozen Heart in your face, reducing your attack speed. Random's Omen as well. So it makes it very hard for Mimer and MrRalleZ to get all the damage they need off in a 5 versus 5. And Rocket once again around this dragon. Mimer's in the top lane, does have teleport, but they can't team fight. So they have to give up another objective and fall back to split pushing and just try and react now to what Rocket wants to do on the map. And still, the warding from Subaru in this game has not been good enough for picking off people, and it cost them the Baron. It's a terrible move. I have no idea how many members from Rocket were waiting and punished.
It might cost them a little bit more than a turret. Look at that damage onto SELFIE. He has to dive away. There's the vote, which you guys, by the way, can still vote for. Just use those hashtags ROC win, SHC win. Tweet your answers to @LOL Esports, and we'll see how that one develops over the course of this best of 5. I think when we checked in last in game 1, it was a super hot crew up front, but now look at this. Team coming in onto the tower. But is the tower going to go down? No. Mimer manages to get in, but they're right in the middle of them. They're hammering away. Double kill. Celaver's coming up big. It's now a triple. Can he get himself any more? He surely can.
No,
SELFIE is going to go down. It is in the end going to be Overpow to steal that last one.
They can finish the game.
4 men down. They can finish the game right here. I don't see any reason why not. They've got the tankiness. Overpow could even step up front there. They've got minions coming in as well. Only Mimer now to save the day. There's 8 seconds on Impaler, 10 on MrRalleZ and kaSing. It's not going to be enough. ROC are going to walk through, destroy the base, and move on to game point here. And 2-0 in this best of 5 over the Super Hot crew. And just one fight turning it, giving the Baron over to ROC. And they didn't mess about. This was a deadly looking ROC. No messing after they get into the advantage position.
Make one mistake in a pick comp against such a strong team fighting composition from Rocket here, where they can take down your towers, they can engage onto you whenever they want to, and there's nothing you can do. We just saw it. Rocket just walked straight up the base, kill the tower, onto Subaru, destroyed him. So far hit as well. They're so tanky with the Rise in the mid lane with the Frozen Heart. One guy went down, sure. Still, we win the game. 25 minutes. That's a very, very short game, especially if you look at Rocket, who normally plays like 40, 44 minutes long games when they actually win them, like on average. It's a very fast game, but it's simply because pick comp from Super Hot Crew, you have no wards to spot out what's going on, you end up dying, you give up Baron, and it was so easy then with the comp, Rocket had to just go up and finish the game.
Just dive in and make them fight you or lose the game.
What is Zed going to do in a team fight there at that point? I mean, he's going to jump in, try and do some damage, and then just shadow out.
Celaver once again, I mean, it's easy to say he did it extremely well, obviously picking up a lot of kills there right at the very end and not really having any problems. You'd think with the likes of the Zed in there, he's going to get dove on, but if you manage to catch him out there first, you can't even get in there and stop this Cogmore, who's already got, what, Blade of the Ruined King and the Trinity Force in there. He's just going to destroy you.
It's just good start by Subaru to actually get the dragon, early kills, the moves from MrRalleZ where he went from the bottom lane to the top lane twice, picked up kills, got towers. Was good, they got some nice gold, but all the lanes were behind in farm, except for SELFIE in the mid lane. So we already had Mączka going towards his tanky points, we had Celaver just farming away from the start here, looking very, very good, pretty much the entire game long. And also the guy who picked up most of the kills in the team fights. So while they got a lot of kills, Subaru, it was still very close in gold. And as soon as the second dragon spawned and Rocket moved in 5 members and So Subaku was like, okay, take the dragon. We're not going to try and team fight you here. Gold started turning in favor of Rocket, and it was all about the one gank, I would even call it, in the top lane. Rocket just destroyed them.
So after game number 1, or the start of game number 2, and we saw that video and we were wondering how down are the Super were going to be after game 1, didn't seem like they were really down at all.
No.
They going in there, played a great early game. However, losing like that in game number 2, knowing that you now have to win 3 games in a row, that surely, for me, I feel like this could be a blowout third game if the Super Hot crew don't have a real serious talk and completely clear their minds.
At least they should know now which play style or which comps Rocket likes to play. Because twice the same one, full team fight, focus on protecting Celaver, and it works. Yeah, so now they have to try and build something around it.
Well, we're going to find out. But first of all, we're going to get some insight from the analyst desk about game number 2.
Thank you very much, Joe. And you just saw Roccat taking down the Super Hot crew once again in a game that finished very fast. Let's take it back to the beginning. And guys, maybe Nif first about the picks and bans. Some significant changes coming in there for the Super Hot crew.
Yeah, no more Ahlström. Instead, we get a Marcin to see. And it kind of showed why he's really strong, why he's contested. Like, he's not that strong in lane, but then once the team fight starts, he's just unkillable and makes the whole team unkillable too. And he has a lot of damage for tanks.
Yeah, I also have to highlight, we see Zed pulled out. We did see the Kale once again in the top lane. Small changes in 4.13. Super Hot crew with a very aggressive comp, Rengar in the jungle, and 2 sort of assassin bursty champions in top and mid. It feels like it's a comp from a few patches ago, and while it started well, it didn't necessarily work entirely the way Super Hot crew were looking for.
Yeah, because when we saw that Super Hot crew was rambling up those kills in the early game, doing very well, but they didn't seem to get any objectives going. What did you make of that play?
No, I mean, the one thing that surprised me is for the Super Hot crew, they got ahead in kills, but they were down 2 dragons to 1. It was Rocket that got the first tower. Despite finding the kills, it never led to objectives. It just felt like Super Hot crew had this pick comp, and they were like, we can kill that guy. But that was as far as the plan went.
Yeah, I can just agree. They played a pick comp, but they couldn't really transition in global gold, so they fall behind eventually. And Rocket was just looking for team fights, so they grew up after for every dragon after the first one, which they had to give up. And Super Hot crew couldn't contest it, so they have to give up all the global gold, and then they just fall behind with the comp.
Yeah, we actually have some replays that can show us the story of the game. Let's take a look at one of the replays from earlier in the game when Super Hot crew counter-ganked, let's say.
So I absolutely love this replay because Roccat are looking to jump on Mimer and you know, catch him out. But MrRalleZ has actually stealthed himself up. Despite us seeing him on the screen, he's in ambush. Roccat aren't 100% sure that he's there. So let's roll this clip out and look how quickly Super Hot crew respond. Mimer's instantly going to throw the intervention down on himself, and just as Jankos and Xaxus are like, oh no, we've bitten off more than they can chew, they're locked in by their own cataclysm. And Super Hot crew, just pause the clip right now. Super Hot crew, despite being 5 kills to 1, they were down a tower, they were actually behind on gold at that stage. And that was the point that we were discussing and talking about upstairs. The Super Hot crew was super aggressive and in your face, but it never equated to actual control.
Yeah, so Nif, if you would be Roccat in that scenario and you're down in kills, would you have the impulse to immediately go for objectives? Because normally the other team would have warded everywhere and you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I think I would do it. We have to see at the farm as well. I think Cockman was really far ahead, top lane was equal, mid was kind of equal. But you know that your comp is way stronger than Super Hot crew, so you would just group for it because that's your winning condition. So that's what you have to do. And Super Hot crew has to pick you off, which they could do, but they couldn't really get something out of it.
I also want to comment on the COG. 2 games in a row, 2 COG match for Celaver, and he's performing very well on that champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor, how much of that comes down to maybe vision control from the Super Hot crew? If you have that much of a kill lead, you know where you can go.
The thing is, the vision is definitely a testament, but I feel even more so than that, it's the decision-making for the Super Hot crew. They're prioritizing kills in this game much more than anything else. They didn't really push waves. They didn't really push for objectives. They didn't try sneak a dragon. They couldn't stand toe-to-toe with Roccat. In the previous game, they were being dictated to by Roccat, and they weren't able to make a play that would give them control of the game. So I just feel like as a team, they're not making the best decisions to maintain control of the match.
Yeah, and when I was talking to Veggie last week, he was saying, yeah, we are working on that macro level strategy, especially our mid game, our late game, closing things out. And I have to say here, incredible testament to what Roccat has been training on, apparently, because it takes something to take a couple of kills and immediately close things out.
Yeah, they look really solid right now. They know how to use the TP. They know how to rotate on the map, that they can use make of the TV like the last teamfight. We could see it as well, that he teleported in from the bot lane, and then they turned the fight around. So they played really well for their winning condition. What I also want to say is that actually, I think they outpicked Super Crew really hard. They know exactly what's really strong, and they went for it. And Super Crew had no answer. I think SELFIE went for Stat because he felt like he had to carry. But it doesn't work like this in this patch anymore. It's more like a team coordination instead of a solo carry, like in Season 3.
Yeah, what composition had you rather seen coming out of the Super Hot Crew, Trevor?
It's very difficult to say, but I wouldn't have been surprised to have seen maybe a Shyvana for Mimer again. It is his most played champion by a long while. Deficio was highlighting in Game 1, I believe 16 games played, in contrast to anything else. We've seen some focus bans. Dr. Mundo's been taken off the table twice against the Super Hot Crew, so Mimer's not getting his comfort tanky pick. But I completely agree with what Nif was saying. If Super Hot Crew go back to a team fight-oriented build, something where they have a front line, they have a back line, and they can move as a unit and work as a unit, that could work in their favor.
Yeah, and then a final question, of course, we were talking about it before the Super Hot Crew. They were talking about it in their video, when we get emotional. And it's one thing to lose that first game, but is it maybe a much harder thing to overcome when you've been ahead in kills in that second game, when you were deciding your own fate?
I think the kills doesn't really matter for them. I think it's really hard for a player to overcome it by yourself. It's really good to have someone outside that can talk to you and tell you that you should just forget it and keep going, because that's what you really should focus on. And like, I'm not sure if they can do it. They're 2 down, so they have to give everything now. Maybe they will do something risky. They're also on the blue side, so they might get Maokai, which I actually don't think so. But we will see. Maybe they pick the Ahlström.
All right, Trevor, any final thoughts for maybe ROC to close it out? Because we always concentrate on a team that has to come back, but ROC just keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, ROC can carry on playing the way they're playing. They've run comfortable comps for Celaver. They got Kog'Maw first rotation in Game 1, Kog'Maw second rotation in Game 2. If they get Kog'Maw again, 3-0 in ROC's favor.
All right, well, we'll see. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, one of these teams takes a step closer to facing Fnatic in the semifinals.
They're going to go straight towards Mimer. He uses an early intervention. They turn it around. Jankos is going to go down. Xaxus will fall as well. MrRalleZ and Impaler coming in. Binding doesn't quite land. That's a good jump around, but Impaler is able to pick up and kill Celaver though, doing good damage. And the Super Hot Crew being ripped to pieces there. Mimer manages to get in, but they're right in the middle of them. They're hammering away. Double kill. Celaver's coming up big. It's now a triple. Can he get himself any more? It surely can.
No,
SELFIE is going to go down.